Hey, Den of Geek fans, Aaron Sagers here, coming at you at San Diego Comic-Con 2024, and we're about to talk to the transformative cast of Transformers 1, including Chris Hemsworth, Tyree Henry, and Keegan-Michael Key. Check it out. Chris, okay, so your character, I feel like, I don't know, is this a bit of a challenge? Because you have a distinctive voice. Peter Cullen has a distinctive voice for generations. And then also we're meeting this character at a younger stage. So how did you find that voice, and how was it a challenge for you as an actor?
Yeah, that was when I first got the phone call from Lorenzo di Bonaventura, the producer, I was like, I don't want to follow or try and mimic what Peter Cullen's done. He said, that's not the goal. We don't want that. There's a youthfulness to this character, a brashness, a cockiness. He's not as self-assured and all-knowing and omnipresent like the version we've known to love and become familiar with. So I was intrigued then, and then really interested when the opportunity to tell an origin story about, one, the relationship between these guys and where they've come from. They were friends before being enemies, but also who they were before they became the figures that we know and love. And it was fun. It was a constant sort of adjustment. It's an interesting thing about animation. Unlike on a film set, you'll do your scene and then walk away, and that's kind of it. Whereas this, we'd get to record it and go, it's too much Optimus Prime, or it's not enough, and have to sort of find that balance. And so we had a year of sort of in and out of the recording studio, and I think we landed in a good place. But I really enjoyed it. I loved it. Come on, gotta go. Roll out. Yeah.
All right, one more question. This is a silly one, because I grew up with Transformers. I love it. The sound effects we had to make ourselves. How are you with the transforming sound effect, and can you give us a little bit of a taste of the Chris Hemsworth?
Pretty good one.
That was pretty good. Yeah, your character, who will become Bumblebee, was sort of like where the story began and the talkative nature of this character.
Yeah.
Is this the deal?
This is the deal, and I think he's very loquacious. This character, his name is B127. And he never stops talking. Like he's a chatterbox. And it's because mostly he has no one to talk to because of where he works and his station in life on Cybertron. And then when other sentient beings come into his life, he is thrilled beyond measure and starts talking to them all the time. But I think it's going to be a neat juxtaposition. I think if people start rewatching the live action movies, there's going to be this kind of sympathy or pathos for Bumblebee, because you're going to go, oh my God, he loved to talk, and now he can't talk. He can't express himself the way he used to express himself.
That was a very thoughtful answer.
Yeah, I tried.
And now I'm going to ask you a really stupid question.
Can't wait.
I grew up with Transformers, love Transformers, and I had like the action figures that didn't make any noise at the time, so I had to make my own sound effects.
That's right.
So how were you at making a Transformers transforming sound effect, and can you give us a little taste?
Okay, so here you go.
Okay. Oh, he's taking
so here you go. There's the classic sound, which is the
very throaty,
lot of saliva. You got to get lots of, and then you can do the other way, right? So that you untransform back into robot form or into alien form, right? And then there's the, which was a sound that I would make for just an arm coming out, which seems like a lot of noise for just an arm, but I like that sound. But then I would go back to the traditional sound when transforming the full bot. When you're going full bot, you go, if you're doing just an arm, yeah. So those are the sounds.
This is a man that knows his sound effects. All right, finally, I don't know, you already delivered on that one.
Not that stupid of a question.
Okay.
If I may.
Well, I don't know. Let's see about this one. Really love Schmigadoon.
Oh, thank you.
And if you were in a Transformers musical,
yes,
what would be the musical number that you would sing? Either as Bumblebee, or you could be any Transformer. What would be a good musical number?
The good musical number would be Oil, Oil, I Need More Oil. That would be the name. That would be the name of the, and then the other song that like the really like heartfelt song that's like tearing their heart out would be, and this is a big controversy amongst our cast, is like, I'm not a robot, I'm an alien. That's the song.
Like that.
That's the chorus, and then it soars like a gospel choir in the back and the whole 9 yards.
Like you need like a good prime matrix kind of like, I may be a machine, but I still have feelings.
Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah.
My prime matrix is no longer operating.
Nice, operating and that's good.
Write
that down.
Yeah? Can we do this? All right.
Yeah.
So we only have time for one question.
One?
So, I know. So I have to ask you the silly question because Keegan-Michael Key responded to this. Chris Hemsworth responded to this.
Oh, no pressure.
I grew up with Transformers, the sound effects of Transformers that I had to make myself. And it was very distinct.
Of that? Can you show me what it is?
I was a very kind of like throaty saliva, like.
There we go.
I don't know if I quite did. I need more water. But I was curious, like, how are you? How are you at the Transformers noise? Can you give us a little bit of a taste of that magic?
It's like we're back in the studio doing efforts. Like that was the crazy part about being a Hall H. Hearing that on the speakers, it's unlike anything in the world. It's like one of my favorite sounds.
It is a great sound. All right, you did it, and you did it masterfully.
Thank you
I commend you on
Another
it.
great sound is when Godzilla is charging up. You know that sound where it's like whoa, whoa, whoa,
Oh, yeah.
whoa, 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 whoa. That's another one of the best sounds ever.
You're great. You killed it. All right, Brian.
you, man.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Lorenzo, thanks so much for joining me today for Transformers 1 here at San Diego Comic-Con. Why this story now?
Well, I would say that you can never really answer that question, but for a long time we've wanted to tell this story. And the studio understandably was having success with the live action, so they weren't all that anxious to try something else that could somehow screw it up. But this story is so compelling that finally it sort of broke through. And I think in a way Bumblebee really helped this story because it showed that we could do a different kind of Transformer movie and the fans were there.
And I apologize if you've talked about this and I don't know it, but does this fit within any specific continuity or generation of Transformers?
Well, look, from the beginning we have followed the Hasbro lore. They have a book that has all the different, from the comic books to the TV shows to the movies. The advantage we had in this story is this is taking place 3 billion years before anything else we've done. So you don't really have to be beholden to it, but where you are absolutely beholden to it is who are they and what do they represent?
You're approaching something and wanting to give it a fresh take, but you're still wanting to honor the fans and make certain everybody that's lived with Transformers for generations now can really approach this. What was kind of the balance about what we could break versus what we can't break?
What's been very helpful is because we're dealing with these, I'm going to call them young adults, or not fully formed adults, we're able to hit into a subject matter that we've never touched on before. And even in the lore, there's not much about it. And so there was a creative freedom in that that's really helpful to build really strong characters. And I think the other thing that sort of kept us, it was sort of the North Star of it, was in the lore, it's very clear why Megatron decides to take the approach he does and why Optimus does. So you had that to lean into, but the trick of it was not to let the characters at the beginning show any evidence of what they were going to become, and that was really hard.
In the trailer, at least, I was kind of surprised because we're seeing a bit of an immature Optimus, and we're seeing a funny kind of likable Megatron, and what was kind of the balance or the approach or the mission as far as like, we can show these different shades of these characters, but also reveal a bit of the villainous side or a bit of the hero in training leader side.
Yeah, well, I think what really helped us is they really are Orion Pax and D16. They are not Megatron and Optimus. And so that gave us not just a freedom, but that's just brand new territory, And I think for myself, I know this now is like having watched them in this movie, I now look at them differently. Like you've Optimus the leader, but you look at them differently because you're like, yeah, dude, we saw you, we saw how you had to learn that, and I think that relatability is changing how we're going to look at these characters.
Right on. Well, Lorenzo, I know you've been the guardian of this franchise, so and you've done a great job. So thank you so much. Keep it up.
Right on.
Thanks. Okay, well, just to dive right in, you directed Toy Story 4 as well.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the similarities between Optimus Prime and Megatron with Buzz and Woody?
I mean, those characters specifically, they're best friends, and but for the making of the film, both films were about scale. Toy Story is always about making sure that everything feels like it's a toy scale at all times. You always have a electrical socket or a tennis shoe in the background, just so you constantly remember. And then with Transformers is always about scale as well. It's always about looking up to these characters. And so it was. I didn't realize that until we started working on it and laying out shots. I went, oh, this is very similar in a weird way.
The trailer looks very fun, looks comedic, some action and adventure taking place there, but I can't help but think like, oh, is this movie gonna break my heart? Is this gonna be the end of a friendship? Are you telling this story to the end of this friendship?
Well, you know it's gonna happen eventually. So that's what got me really interested in this movie. Regardless of the plot of it all, it's always about that relationship, and so every decision I made was how to support that relationship between these two characters, seeing them be brothers and then eventually become enemies.
For me, like I grew up with Transformers, and it seems like every generation has their Transformers, but there are these constants with the voices and the way these are portrayed. What is the balance in having a fresh approach to the characters, but still evoking those classic iterations?
That's the thing that kept me awake from day one on this film was, how do we do this? Because, you know, Peter Cullen's my Optimus Prime. I grew up with that. It's such an iconic voice. He created that character, created that voice. But the thing is, we are doing Orion Pax, which is a younger, more kind of immature version of Optimus. And so it was about finding how we can start off with a character that we know will become Optimus Prime. And that was a challenge. Chris and I worked on it a lot.
Josh, thanks so much for your time. Looking forward to seeing Transformers 1.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. There you have it. The cast of Transformers 1 right here at San Diego Comic-Con 2024. And I can say that I found that to be a life-changing, maybe even a transforming experience.